Yeah, leave it for another day, Sukima Dooku said. Back to the point. Or rather, the tangent. I wasn't sure what the main point was anymore, but I let him run with it. Truth is, I don't think Javi Cortez, the true killer, was born with the power to enter dreams. The cause of his problems lay with his mother, Leonora Cortez. Just before the cops made him disappear, Javier confessed everything to George. He asked George, "Do you know why I always did locked rooms?" George shook his head. "Because all deaths take place in locked rooms. I've slipped through the dreams of any number of people and convinced them to kill someone in a locked room. But the one I really wanted to die, the one I really wanted to kill, was myself. When I slept, I was trapped in a locked room with my mother." When George repeated those words to me, I finally started asking the question I should have been asking, now that I had the answer. In other words, why was it Javier spent so much time dreaming? It takes a lot of time to drive someone so far into a corner they'll commit a locked room murder. Javier wasn't working on the 15 killers one at a time. I don't think he did them all at once, but he was always working on several simultaneously. And those are just the people he succeeded with. There must have been other targets that proved less susceptible. He travelled through all their dreams, even showing up in their daytime naps if they got too scared to sleep at night. Which means Javier was sleeping all day too. That's an unhealthy amount of sleep. Why did Javier spend so much time sleeping? Locked in a room with Leonora, he slept, escaping into other people's dreams, hoping to find someone who would kill him. What caused such anger and self-loathing? Why would being locked in a room with his mother make him sleep, and make his hatred erupt across the dreams of strangers? What was his mother doing in that room that would lead to such hatred? These weren't questions. I knew the answer. There was no need to speak it. I assumed some sort of abuse was involved, Sukima Dooku said. The desire to kill himself is the desire to make his flesh disappear. Sleeping and escaping into dreams were ways of escaping his flesh while he was in that locked room with her. Whatever was happening to his flesh was so horrific he had to escape it, which implies the abuse was likely sexual. But we'll never know the truth. Xavier was killed, and Leonora killed herself before her husband, Jean Rivera, returned home. With his family gone, he spoke briefly to George. Whatever happened may have been going on for more than 10 years. Juan was absent for home for long periods of time, and quite the philanderer. When Xavier was young, Juan often made Leonora cry, but at some point the tears stopped. "I've got Xavier," she said. He'd seen the boy comfort her when she cried, so Juan assumed she'd gotten over it, and thought no more about it. He certainly noticed she doted on the boy, but since that meant less strife for him, he was pleased. In that sense, the cause of the cause lay with Juan Rivera Cortez. One person hurt another, that person hurt someone else in turn, and that person developed a strange power that let them harm a number of strangers, and those strangers created locked rooms and murdered people in them. The core pattern behind so many of the world's problems. Reality is what it is, and webs of misery are all around us. But my point is that Javier Cortez's ability to enter strangers' dreams was a power born of the suffering his mother inflicted. It's nothing but a hypothesis, but I've begun to believe that continual, repetitive suffering can lead to the development of unusual powers that help the sufferer escape. That's quite a thought. Here Sukima Dooku explained a case that led to him forming a friendship with the other George Joestar. It was another case of child abuse by an insane mother. Poor Antonio Torres, who had his skin peeled off by his mother every year since he was a baby, and when he turned 10 developed the ability to shed his entire skin intact once a year. Ugh, that's gross. But the cases are remarkably similar, aren't they? Repeated suffering, supernatural abilities. No normal person can shed their skin. Point taken, but can I ask a question? Sure. It might be a little rude. I promise not to mind. Maybe the world you come from's kind of fucked up. Maybe stuff like that just happens there. I don't have any grounds to deny the possibility at the moment. I mean, I've never heard of anything like this. I'd never heard of anything like that before I met George Joestar, and I only have the 2 instances of this phenomenon to draw upon. See? Sorry, but I just think it's your world that's weird. Everything's normal here. I think there are many things about your world that are strange, but perhaps the laws it operates on are simply different from my own. This tangent's getting scary. Some of these mental images I really don't need. Come to think of it, I had Antonio Torres, 1900, his skin, in my luggage. Did it arrive here with me? I was gathering my belongings right before I passed out, and I'm certain I had the tube it was in slung over my shoulder. Jesus! I really don't want to see that, but I guess we could ask the Catos? That house is done for, but maybe they found something in the rubble. Yeah, but it's not that important. If they find it, I'd like it back, of course. Javi Cortez's clown nose and wig were in a different trunk. Holy crap. At any rate, that's enough of that tangent. There's another point I really should make. Something you need to hear. About this other George Joestar? No. About you. Yeah? Me? What was he on about? What could he know about me? You call yourself a detective, so this shouldn't take long for you to grasp. Have you never wondered why it is you're able to solve difficult cases and problems nobody else can? Have you ever found it strange that you always get to the truth in the end? When you find a clue in a book you just happen to be reading, or have an idea triggered by a conversation you happen to have with a complete stranger, or when a criminal close to getting away with it suddenly makes a boneheaded mistake. Have you ever wondered if it was one too many coincidences in your favour? Have you ever felt like the world revolved around you? Like God himself was looking after you? Huh? I mean, I get your drift, but isn't that what a detective is? Luck is part of skill. But humans are prone to failure, George Joestar. Everyone makes mistakes. Normally. I make mistakes all the time. But in the end, you're right. Yeah, but I work my ass off. Hard work doesn't always lead to results, normally. Normally, schmormally. Someone's doing alright, you don't stand there hoping they fuck up. What's your point? That I should be less sure I'm a detective? No, quite the opposite. There's never been any reason to doubt yourself, or that you're a detective. But you should be aware that you're receiving preferential treatment at the hand of an arbitrary god. Why? Should I give thanks to it or something? No. I call this god Beyond, and I'm certain that this god has lined you and the other George Joestar up for a reason, for some greater purpose. It must have been Beyond's power that sent me here. And not because I solved the 15 puzzle? You did. But think of it this way. Beyond set you on that path and summoned me here. See? What most people imagine when they hear the word God is something all-powerful that never explains itself to humans, that acts in a seemingly arbitrary fashion, irrational, devoid of logic. But not here. The God I call Beyond prepared that 15 puzzle for you. I believe there is a reason Beyond had to do that. You're a detective, and to some extent, the nature of the world becomes predictable. Lord knows, as a detective myself, I'm sick of explaining to people that because I'm here, everything has meaning. Just like the arrival of a detective in a mystery novel. In a sense, Beyond is a mystery novelist. Beyond is writing a mystery novel in which you're the detective, and you should be aware of that fact. I understood his point well enough, but why do I need to know this? I told you. Because there's another George Joestar. So what? You said you'd never worked a case at the same time as another detective. But you've read mystery novels where that was the case? I have. There were a lot of them these days. So? 2 detectives, 1 truth. If both are detectives, both must arrive at the same truth. But does that happen in the novels of this world? Most novels with 2 detectives have one solve it, then the other discover the real solution hidden behind it. At that point, are they both still detectives? They're treated like detectives, but certainly within that novel, the latter's the real detective, but they might switch places in the next novel, if it's a series. What I'm talking about, like I said, isn't in terms of a lifetime, but in terms of each individual case. 1 volume at a time. There is no next time. You are one of the 2 detectives. Your life will prove whether you're the real one or the fake. Man, this good-looking kid was really making everything seem like a giant pain in the ass. I was getting sick of listening to him lecture me. Fine, I'll be the fake. Whatever, your friend, this other George Joestar, he could be the real one. It's cool. It won't change who I am. Why should I care? Not like being a detective's the only job I can do. There's plenty of others who can do the job instead of me, and I'm happy to leave them to it. I meant it. Murders and murder cases were hella scary. Seriously dangerous. Figuring out the tricks was a pain, and last act twists always pissed me off, and I never got off on the praise or gratitude. Man, thinking like this really made me wonder why exactly I was a detective at all. I didn't really give a damn. I just did it because I was there. If there was someone else, I'd rather not. I think this rattled him, but he kept his poker face and added, "The two of you are working in parallel, but you aren't both detectives. You're both George Joestars. Are you still fine with being the fake?" "Of course I am," I said. "Did I mention it? I'm adopted. You tell me I'm not George Joestar? Well, I'm not." At last I cracked his poker face. "Didn't he think it weird when I gave the name?" "I just assumed 100 years from now George Joestar might well be a Japanese name," he said, laughing. No, I mean some people do have weird names, but most people will still Tanaka Taro or some other super normal names. I guess your name's pretty dang weird, and that might make you less sensitive to odd names. Most modern Japanese have ordinary names with easy-to-read kanji." Sukima Dooku sighed deeply. I don't even know anymore. I was starting to feel sorry for him. Sorry, maybe I should have played along more, but I was never a good liar. Please spare me your sympathies. Cool. Anyway, where are you staying tonight? They'll probably let you sleep at the hospital tonight, but tomorrow? You could go check out this non-triangular Bermuda Triangle. I can pay your hospital bill and travel expenses. Not like you know anyone else here. Except maybe the Katos. Nobody lived in the house in Nishi Akatsuki. They might be distantly related, but distant was the key word there, and when he'd arrived he'd pretty much demolished their house. So, it might not be his fault technically, but it was hard to blame them if they had it in for him. Might be best to avoid trouble. Maybe researching their family tree might get me somewhere. Or do you want to meet with some people who might be descendants of your family? Well, I'd like to check if my luggage came with me at least, so I'd at least like to speak to the people from the demolished house briefly. I don't know if we're really related, but I suppose I could try working as a detective here a while. I don't know much about this world though, not at all sure I could be a detective here. Might be easier to just get a normal job if I need money. Yeah, well tonight just get some sleep. You'd cried a trip and nearly drowned. You must be exhausted. But I wouldn't want my things thrown out with the rubble. Don't worry about that. Serica was still reeling from the shock of it all. They're staying the night at a hotel somewhere, I'm sure. The police will have to work the scene over too, so we can go check it out tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, George Joestar. Cool. If you do decide to head for the Bermuda Triangle, I'll come with. It'll be rough travelling on your own in a new world, and I'd love to see what going to another world looks like. Thanks. But I can't explain why, but I think you shouldn't come to my world. There's no telling what would happen if two George Joestars met. Some sort of time travel paradox? Then I'll let him be George Joestar. Whatever. I'm not the same guy as that George Joestar, so how can there be a paradox? There's no telling what beyond will have in store. This again. I was starting to despise that word. Okay. I'd love to see another world, but I doubt I could survive long without the last 100 years of technology. So I'll stay on this side. Do you even have trains or jets? Getting home sounds like a pain. In our world, you can probably get there in 3 hours by airplane, Narita to JFK. The Bermuda Triangle Point was at the tip of Manhattan Island. I'll bet anything it's right where the Statue of Liberty stands. Narita? From Narita Mountain. Yeah, JFK is named after John Fitzgerald Kennedy, former president. It's an airport on Manhattan Island. Manhattan. So, America. A president who probably hasn't even been born yet in my world. The history of my world and yours might be different, so maybe he'll never exist. Right, truth is, if this is your future, you might be better off not knowing much about it. You think so? Maybe better not to think too much about it. At this point my phone rang. It was Shirai. Hello? George, you got a minute? Yeah. Bingo, buddy. Their dreams clinched it. Already? Really? My eyes met Sukima Dooku's. His eyes looked very sad. Did we have our own Javi Cortez? If there was sexual abuse going on, I was already feeling down. The second we brought up dreams, they all jumped. Shirai went on. They'd forgotten all about them till the moment we mentioned them. But every one of them described the man with a hat pulled down over his eyes. He showed up in their dreams and told every one of them the same thing. When the police arrest you, if you ask about dreams, tell them this. If George Joestar ever comes to Morioh, I'll kill him. He used your name, George. Every one of the 15 said the same thing, not a syllable out of place. Like the same guy put a message in all their heads. They knew his name too. Kira Yoshikage. This is fucked up, George. Never heard the like. You'd better stay the hell away from this. Huh? Morioh? Where the hell was that? Who was this guy? Who was Kira Yoshikage? Was he not just replacing Javi Cortez as the locked room maestro, but also sending me a warning through them? Creepy. Hell no, I'm not going there, I said. Sure, I didn't buy it. Now, seriously, George, there's danger and there's danger, right? We still need your help on stuff here. Don't you dare go. I said I'm not going. And when you say that, you always go the weirdest places. He knew me pretty well by now. But man, it's like he's telling me to come. Don't. This dude can enter people's dreams. That's fucked up. Ah, but you're saying that's like waving a red flag. It's seriously dangerous. I know we deal with all kinds of weird shit on this job, but some dudes are on another level. This is definitely that other level. Beyond human comprehension. Shit like that just made me more interested. I didn't say that though. I was wound up though. Anyway, thank you, I said and hung up. I filled Sukima Dooku in. So I basically have to go, right? Yeah, Sukima Dooku said. But I'm going to stay out of it. George and I already solved our version of the case, and I've got other things to do and think about. True enough, I supposed. Then leave this one to me, but I really will pay your bills and travel expenses. Tell you what, I'll take you to Manhattan, watch you pop through the triangle to the other world, and go to Morioh. I quickly did a search for Morioh on my phone. Found it. Up northeast off the coast near S-City. Never been there, never even heard of it, but someone there wanted me to stay away. Alright, this'll be fun. I'm off home. I'll swing by tomorrow, give you a phone. It'll be under my name, but give us a way to talk, I said. Sukima Dooku bowed, to my surprise. Hey now. Thank you for all your kindness. After all, we met just hours ago. It seems both George Joestars are gentlemen. I truly believe there's meaning in my meeting you like this. Alright, maybe there is, but no need to get all formal. It reeks of 100-year-old manners. Over here we're more relaxed, right? My George and I were quite relaxed, I assure you. But I am grateful. I may be a burden to you for a while yet, for which I apologise. At the moment it seems I have no one else to rely on. Sure. Anyway, I'm going home. See ya. Tomorrow, then. I gave him my business card and left feeling like he was a weird guy, and the way we met was weird, but somehow we'd end up being good friends. Woke up the next morning, and while I was getting dressed, word came Sukima Dooku was dead. His body was found in Morioh. Shit, I thought. Someone really wanted me then. That was never a warning at all. It was always an invitation. I was going even without you killing Sukima Dooku. Shit for brains. What a waste. There was no reason for him to die. End of chapter 2.